In recent years, Indian suspense thrillers have been gaining more attention, and for good reason. The films we've covered so far, like Tianzhua Myanmar, Sudi, and British Retribution, have all been masterfully crafted and keep audiences guessing until the very end. In this episode, Tiancheng introduces us to another celebrated Indian suspense drama, Fong Dying. The story begins slowly, almost like a slice-of-life drama, but quickly shifts gears in the second half into a gripping murder mystery. By the end, a jaw-dropping twist leaves viewers stunned. Our protagonist is Nana, a full-time housewife. Her husband, Anton, has a well-paying job in the financial sector, and together they raise their young daughter, who attends kindergarten. The family lives in a quiet, upscale neighborhood in the suburbs of Delhi, where only a few families reside and the children play together closely. Nana, who holds a master's degree in biology, once worked in a biotech lab before leaving her job to get married and have a child. But now that her daughter is old enough for school, Nana longs to return to the workforce. Unfortunately, after years away from her field, her resume looks unimpressive. She manages to secure just one interview with an insurance company and anxiously waits at home for their response. It's during this period of waiting that Nana notices something unusual. The house next door, which had stood empty for years, is suddenly occupied. A 60-year-old woman named Aunt Man and her son Amin, a man in his 30s, have moved in. Through neighborhood gossip, Nana learns that the house is actually Aunt Man's ancestral home. Her husband had passed away from illness many years ago, after which she and her son moved abroad. This is the first time they've returned in over a decade. Since Nana's family only moved into the community 2 years ago, she has no prior connection to them, and with their arrival, strange events begin to unfold. Indian suspense thrillers have been on the rise in recent years, giving audiences gripping, well-structured mysteries filled with shocking twists. Today, Tiancheng takes us through another brilliant film in this genre, Fong Dying. At first, the film feels like a quiet family drama, but soon it transforms into a tense, high-stakes murder mystery, culminating in an ending that leaves viewers completely stunned. The setup. Our story follows Nana, a full-time housewife. Her husband, Anton, is a well-paid financial professional, and together they raise a little girl who is now in kindergarten. The family lives in a quiet, high-end community in the suburbs of Delhi, a place with only a handful of families. Nana is well-educated. She holds a master's degree in biology and previously worked in a biotech lab for 2 years. But when she got married and became pregnant, she left her career to raise her child. Now that her daughter is in school, Nana feels restless and wants to rejoin the workforce. Unfortunately, years of being out of work have left her resume weak. After several rejections, she finally lands one interview at an insurance company. She passes the first round and waits nervously at home for the second interview. It's during this waiting period that something unusual happens. The house next door, which had been vacant for many years, suddenly becomes occupied. The neighbors, a 60-year-old woman named Aunt Man and her son, Amin, move back into their ancestral home. Nana learns from neighbors that Aunt Man's husband died many years ago, after which she and Amin moved abroad. They have been away for more than a decade. Aunt Man also has a daughter, Mani, who works in New Zealand. This sudden return intrigues the neighbors. Curious and enthusiastic, they frequently stop by Aunt Man's home to welcome her back. But Aunt Man rarely interacts with them. She spends most of her time indoors and only occasionally sits in her yard to sunbathe. Amin, on the other hand, is more outgoing. He has just opened a bakery in a nearby town and is often seen chatting with neighbors. Because he is single and charming, he quickly becomes the topic of local gossip, especially among single mothers and women in the community. But not everyone is charmed. Nana's suspicion. Nana's impression of Amin is immediately negative. On the very first day he moved in, she accidentally saw him attempting to kill a stray cat with a stone. The cruel act shocked her, and from that moment, she felt uneasy about him. She also finds his behavior suspicious. He always keeps his curtains drawn, even during the day, as if hiding something inside the house. At first, Nana tries to dismiss her unease, But soon a series of events heightens her suspicions. The party and the fire. When Nana passes her first job interview, she is thrilled. Her wedding anniversary is also approaching. So with Anton's approval, she decides to host a small celebration at their home and invite all the neighbors. Everyone comes except Aunt Man. Even Amin joins the gathering, chatting and drinking with the others. The mood is cheerful, until suddenly someone notices that smoke is coming from Amin's house. Panic breaks out. Amin immediately runs home, and several neighbors rush in with him to put out the fire. After the flames are extinguished, Nana happens to catch a glimpse of something in the house that makes her uneasy, but no one else seems to notice. From this point on, Nana's paranoia grows. She becomes convinced that Amin is hiding something dark in his house, something connected to the fire. Not long after the party, the community is shaken by tragedy. A young single mother from the neighborhood suddenly goes missing. Days later, her body is discovered brutally murdered. The entire neighborhood is horrified, and police launch an investigation. Nana's suspicion immediately turns toward Amin. His strange behavior, the drawn curtains, the incident with the cat, and now this murder, everything points to him, at least in Nana's mind. Determined to protect her family, Nana begins quietly observing Amin's movements, even going so far as to follow him in secret. The truth and the twist ending. What Nana eventually uncovers shocks her to the core. In a climactic sequence, the truth behind the fire, the murder, and Amin's secret life is revealed. This is where the film delivers its big twist: Amin's true nature, the real culprit behind the murder, and Ant-Man's hidden past all come together in a chilling revelation. The ending subverts expectations, leaving the audience questioning their assumptions about guilt, innocence, and appearances. By the time the credits roll, the viewer is left stunned. What seemed like a simple neighborhood drama has turned into a complex psychological thriller about fear, trust, and human nature. The fire broke out in Amin's bedroom. According to the neighbors, the blaze was caused by an electrical appliance that had been left plugged in for too long. After the fire was put out, everyone suddenly realized that Aunt Mai was missing. Seeing the worried faces around him, Amin finally confessed the truth. His mother had been diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease several years earlier. Proud and strong-willed all her life, Aunt Mai did not want the neighbors to see her in a weakened state. That was why Amin had kept her illness a secret from everyone, including the police. He explained that the fire must have started because his mother forgot to turn off the power. Most likely, she had wandered off from home in a confused state during the incident. Amin immediately called the police, and they searched the neighborhood and surrounding areas all night. Despite their efforts, Aunt Mai was nowhere to be found. It wasn't until the following night at 10 p.m. that Aunt Mai was finally located at a train station 10 kilometers away. The station staff had noticed that she had no identification or money and appeared disoriented, so they contacted the police. She was safely escorted back home. When the neighbors, including Nana and Anton, visited to check on her, they found that Aunt Mai seemed physically fine, just a bit confused and restless. They advised Amin to be more careful so that she would not wander off again. Anton even offered to help by recommending a reliable nanny, the same one who had cared for Nana after she gave birth. But Amin politely declined, saying that his cousin, a doctor, was already helping treat his mother's condition and that she was showing improvement. To the neighbors, Amin appeared to be a devoted and dutiful son, doing his best to care for his ailing mother. But Nana wasn't convinced. With her background in biology, she was highly observant and good at noticing small details. Over time, she began to feel that something wasn't right. She noticed that whenever Aunt Mai returned home from outside, she would carefully take off her shoes at the door, a small act that seemed oddly deliberate for someone suffering from advanced memory loss. This small but significant detail made Nana question whether Aunt Mai truly had Alzheimer's disease at all, and what exactly Amin might be hiding inside that house. Every time the pressure cooker in Amin's kitchen was turned on, Nana noticed something peculiar. The sound of the steam release would suddenly become quieter, as though someone had turned the flame down to a low simmer. But it wasn't Amin. On several occasions, Nana saw him standing outside in the yard while this happened. That meant the only person inside who could have adjusted the flame was Aunt Mai. This observation troubled Nana. If Aunt Mai really suffered from severe Alzheimer's, how could she consistently remember to turn down the gas stove, take off her shoes neatly at the door, and bring in the laundry from the balcony every afternoon? These weren't the actions of someone who was completely disoriented. Even more unsettling, Aunt Mai had recently managed to walk 10 kilometers to a train station on her own and told station staff she wanted to leave town. To Nana, it no longer looked like the confused wandering of a sick woman. It seemed like an escape attempt. She began to suspect that Amin might be controlling his mother, perhaps even keeping her confined to the house. But when she confided this theory to her husband, Anton, he dismissed her suspicions. Anton reasoned that Amin had no motive to lie about his mother's illness. Why would anyone imprison their own mother, especially when there was no clear benefit to doing so? Nana couldn't answer that question, but her gut told her that something wasn't right. Determined to find out the truth, she looked for an opportunity to speak to Aunt Mai alone. Days passed, but Amin never left the house long enough for Nana to approach her. Then, one afternoon, Nana's chance finally came. There was a mass at the nearby church, and as usual, many of the neighborhood women prepared to attend. But just before it started, Amin approached one of the neighbors, a single woman he was on friendly terms with, and asked her to watch over his mother while he attended to an urgent matter at the bakery. Before leaving, Amin reminded the woman that at noon, she should give Aunt Mai a glass of freshly squeezed orange juice. He explained that this was something his cousin, a doctor, had specifically recommended as part of his mother's treatment. Nana, overhearing this exchange, decided to skip church entirely and use this chance to visit Aunt Mai at noon. As instructed, Amin's neighbor brought a glass of orange juice to Aunt Mai, but the old woman refused to drink it. Confused, the neighbor called Amin to report what had happened. Amin calmly told her that she should drink a glass of juice herself in front of Aunt Mai to reassure her, after which Aunt Mai would likely drink hers. The neighbor followed his advice, and sure enough, Aunt Mai then picked up the glass and drank. Just then, Nana arrived at the house. Her real goal was to find out whether Aunt Mai was truly sick or simply being controlled by Amin. She casually tried to ask indirect questions about Aunt Mai's life and freedom, but the old woman only stared at her silently, offering no real answer. Suddenly, Nana's phone rang. It was Anton. He told her that Amin had just called him, requesting the contact information of the reliable nanny Anton had once mentioned. Anton needed Nana to send him the number, which was stored in her old phone at home. Reluctantly, Nana cut her visit short and returned home to look for the old phone. But shortly after, she began to feel strangely drowsy. She lay down on the sofa and fell into a deep sleep. When she woke up more than 2 hours later, shocking news awaited her. Aunt Mai had gone missing again. Panicked, Nana called Amin to tell him what had happened. He rushed back home and began searching everywhere before calling the police once again. The next morning, tragedy struck. The police discovered a woman's body, crushed to death by a passing train. That night, the police discovered a woman's body near the train tracks. Her head had been crushed, her face completely unrecognizable. They could not immediately confirm her identity, but based on the victim's clothing, body shape, and age, they suspected it was Aunt Mai. To be sure, they asked Amin to provide strands of Aunt Mai's hair so they could run a DNA comparison. While waiting for the results, Amin informed his sister, Mani, who was working in New Zealand, that their mother had gone missing. Mani immediately took the first available flight back to India. By the time she arrived, the police had completed their DNA test, and the body was not Aunt Mai. Despite this revelation, Aunt Mai still did not return home. 2 more days passed without any word of her whereabouts, worrying the entire neighborhood. Amin confided in Nana, visibly burdened with guilt. He admitted that if he hadn't fallen asleep so suddenly that day, perhaps his mother wouldn't have vanished. Nana immediately caught this detail. Amin had drunk the orange juice before falling asleep. Suspicious, Nana called the reliable nanny, whose number Anton had supposedly given Amin that day. But the nanny insisted that she had never been contacted recently. Nana's suspicions deepened. She began to suspect that Amin had deliberately drugged the orange juice with sleeping pills, ensuring his sister-in-law fell asleep, and then used that opportunity to secretly take his mother away. But why would he do that? Nana could not determine his true motive. 2 nights later, Nana accidentally overheard Mani talking on the phone outside. From the conversation, she learned 2 crucial facts. Mani hadn't returned just because of her mother's disappearance. She had also come back to meet with a real estate agent. She had already booked a flight back to New Zealand for that very night. Putting the pieces together, Nana formed a bold theory. Perhaps Mani and Amin were planning to sell the ancestral home, but their mother strongly opposed it. Amin may have lied about his mother having Alzheimer's, then secretly removed her from the house so she wouldn't interfere. Determined to investigate further, Nana approached Mani and, under the pretext of wanting to consult her about emigrating to New Zealand, asked for her contact number. Mani gave it to her politely, then went back inside to pack her luggage. Soon after, she left in Amin's car to catch her flight. That night, Nana couldn't sleep. As she gazed across the yard at Amin's house, she saw a silhouette standing behind a second-floor window. The figure looked exactly like Aunt Mai. Shocked, she immediately woke Anton to confirm what she had seen. But by the time he came to the window, the figure had disappeared. The next morning, Anton went to ask Amin if his mother had returned. Amin calmly said she had not. Anton began to wonder if Nana had imagined the figure, but Nana was sure of what she had seen. Determined to uncover the truth, Nana confided in 2 close neighbors, Hong and Lon. The 3 women formed a detective team to investigate Aunt Mai's disappearance. That very night, when Amin left the house, Nana called Hong and Lon to watch the street from their balconies in case he returned early. Then, Nana climbed over Amin's backyard wall and scaled the drainage pipe to the 2nd floor, hoping to peek through the same window where she had seen the figure, but the window was locked from the inside, and the room was completely dark. That night, Nana crouched by the 2nd-floor window, straining to see through the pitch-black glass. The reflection of her own face stared back at her, but the room inside remained completely dark. What Nana didn't know was that someone was inside, Huda, a bearded man and cousin of the Dr. Amin often mentioned. Huda noticed Nana's silhouette against the light outside and immediately phoned Amin to report the intrusion. Amin rushed home. Hong and Lon, stationed on their balconies as lookouts, spotted his car and urgently called Nana. She scrambled down the drain pipe in a panic, but before she could escape through the backyard wall, Amin caught her. Surprisingly, he didn't demand to know why she had been sneaking around. He simply warned her not to repeat such reckless behavior. Embarrassed, Nana apologized and left. As soon as she was gone, Amin noticed a faint red stain near the wall outside. At the same time, upstairs, Huda was busy in the bathroom, wearing a protective suit, mask, and gloves. He scooped a blood-red liquid from a large plastic barrel with a cup and poured it into the toilet. Floating inside the barrel was a chunk of what looked like dissolved flesh. It became clear the missing nanny had been murdered, her remains chemically dissolved. The liquid was likely some corrosive chemical, and the red stain Amin had seen outside might have been caused by chemical water leaking into the sewer. Amin quickly repainted the wall to cover the stain and stacked bags of miscellaneous items in front of it to hide the fresh paint. Unbeknownst to him, Nana witnessed all of this from her hiding spot. The next morning, she told Hong everything she had seen. She believed Amin had killed the nanny, and the stain he had painted over was evidence of the crime. She also became convinced there was still another person hiding inside Amin's house, the same person who had spotted her last night and alerted him. When Nana saw Amin leave the house later that day, she seized the opportunity. Hong rang the front doorbell to distract whoever was inside. Huda answered, and Hong pretended she had come to ask Amin for advice about baking. Meanwhile, Lon sneaked around the backyard, scraped off some of the freshly painted wall, and collected the sample in a plastic bag. Before Nana could take the paint sample to her friend's lab for testing, Amin unexpectedly returned, this time with a police escort. To everyone's shock, Aunt Mai was brought home safely. Neighbors gathered around to visit her, but Aunt Mai, apparently suffering from Alzheimer's, couldn't recall where she had been. With the old woman safe, Hong and Lon assumed that Nana's suspicions had been nothing but paranoia and left feeling disappointed. But Nana couldn't shake the feeling that something was still very wrong. The unanswered questions haunted her. Why had Amin been in a coma after drinking the orange juice? Why had Aunt Mai appeared at the window that night? And why had she walked alone to the train station? For hours later, Nana tried to call Mani, but Mani's phone remained switched off. The next day, while heading to an important interview at an insurance company, Nana stopped by her friend's lab to request a test on the wall paint sample. Even as she waited for the interview to begin, she dialed Mani's number again. The phone was still off, but the voicemail message was in Hindi, not English. If Mani had returned to New Zealand, shouldn't the phone network have switched back to English? This realization sent a chill down Nana's spine. She checked Mani's social media accounts for clues, only to find they had been inactive for days. Through older posts, Nana discovered that Mani had a girlfriend named Mia in New Zealand. The two ran a successful company together and were even planning to adopt a daughter. Desperate for answers, Nana sent Mia a private message explaining who she was and asking whether Mani had returned safely to New Zealand. But Mia couldn't reply right away, because at that very moment, she was landing in India to confront Amin in person. She met Amin at the airport and demanded to know Mani's whereabouts. Amin calmly claimed Mani was at his bakery and offered to take Mia to see her. During the drive, Amin's phone rang, and he stepped out of the car to take the call. While waiting, Mia checked her phone and saw Nana's message. She quickly replied, telling Nana that Mani had not returned to New Zealand and that she was currently with Amin, heading to the bakery to meet her. Nana's heart sank when she saw the reply. Everything she had feared might be true. She frantically messaged Mia back, warning her to be careful around Amin. But before Mia could process the warning, Amin returned to the car. Moments later, Mia was sprayed with anesthetic and passed out. Nana, unaware what had just happened, rushed to Amin's bakery. But when she arrived, neither Amin, Mani, nor Mia were there. The bakery staff confirmed that Amin had not come to work at all that day. Nana sped to the suburban bakery, her heart pounding. The address matched the one the bakery clerk had given her. Before she could step inside, her phone rang. It was her friend from the lab. The wall paint sample had tested positive for human blood, tissue, and oxalic acid, a chemical used to dissolve flesh. The confirmation made Nana's stomach turn, but it also gave her courage. She pushed open the bakery door and stepped into the darkness. A man's voice echoed from inside. Nana crouched by a ventilation hole and peeked in. What she saw made her blood run cold. Mia was lying unconscious on a stainless steel table. Nearby, Amin and his cousin Huda were debating who should kill her. Nana didn't dare charge in. She backed away quietly, called the police, then grabbed a stone and hurled it through the bakery window. The crash startled Amin and Huda, forcing them to pause their murderous plan. They quickly stuffed Mia into an icebox and rushed outside to investigate. By then, Nana had locked herself inside her car. But Amin spotted her and grabbed a heavy iron pickaxe, swinging it toward her windshield. Terrified, Nana slammed the accelerator. The car shot forward, striking both Amin and Huda, knocking them to the ground. Seizing the chance, Nana dashed back inside, dragged the half-conscious Mia out of the icebox, and pulled her to safety. Moments later. Police sirens cut through the night. Officers arrived, arrested Amin and Huda, and took them into custody. During interrogation, the shocking truth was revealed. The mastermind was Aunt Mai, Amin's own mother. It turned out that after discovering her daughter Mani's relationship with her girlfriend Mia, Aunt Mai considered it a disgrace to the family name. She had tried repeatedly to persuade Mani to break up, but Mani refused. In a desperate bid to preserve family honor, Aunt Mai devised a twisted plan to murder her own daughter. She faked having Alzheimer's disease, staging her disappearances twice to earn sympathy and avoid suspicion. During one disappearance, she secretly hid at the home of Lau Hu, her brother. Amin, Huda, and Lau Hu then lured Mani back from New Zealand by telling her their mother was sick and missing. When Mani arrived in India, Amin even staged a public goodbye, driving her to the airport to create the illusion that she had returned to New Zealand. But halfway there, he pretended to get a call saying Aunt Mai had been found. He convinced Mani to return home, where she was ambushed and murdered by her own family members. After the murder, Amin used Mani's phone to send Mia a fake breakup message, hoping to keep her away. But Mia, unconvinced, flew to India, and Nana's relentless investigation uncovered the entire conspiracy. The final puzzle piece fell into place. The night Nana saw a shadowy figure at the upstairs window, it had been Aunt Mai, turning away from the gruesome scene as her daughter was killed. In the end, Aunt Mai, Lau Hu, Amin, and Huda were all arrested and charged. Mia, though physically safe, returned to New Zealand deeply traumatized. Nana, despite missing her important job interview and losing the opportunity she had worked so hard for, felt no regret. She had uncovered the truth and saved a life. This film, released at the end of 2024, is a gripping Indian thriller that cleverly borrows elements from Hitchcock's Rear Window while adding its own cultural and emotional layers. The plot is tight, the characters act intelligently, and the film explores a chillingly real phenomenon: honor killings. In India, more than 250 honor-related murders were officially reported in 2015 alone, with many more likely going unreported due to cultural acceptance in some regions. Within this context, the film's motive is tragically believable, a disturbing reminder of how far some will go to protect family reputation.